What is up, entrepreneurs? Welcome to the Friday Live Helpcast with me, your hostess, the mostess, Diana Glady. Super pumped, proud, excited to be here with you on another beautiful, fantastic Friday. Did your week go well? Did your week actually go well? Did you have to make it go well? Feeling better? A lot of people tend to feel some sense of relief because it's a Friday. Have the whole thank God it's Friday. I agree. I also thank God it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Those are all great days. It can be a great day if you choose for it to be. And we're going to decide it's going to be a great, freaking fantastic day. Today, we are talking about your questions, your answers, getting some answers to you. Not your answers, but getting you your answers. Because there's been some issues when it comes to what I call, affectionately, creative constipation. So this could be around tech stuff. We're still going to do our regular Friday live Q&A. It could be around, like, it's a lot of, I feel like digital angst, just a little bit, just a smidge around gear. Should I switch? Should I change? Especially we're transitioning into the fall-like weathers. I don't know, depending on where you're located, if you kind of transition into that fall-like weather and whatnot. But number one, I'm happy about that. But also it's like, it also bursts in the season of new. What can I do? What should I be doing that's new? How can I start doing something differently? Do I need to switch from this camera to this camera? Do I need to maybe switch it up with my content type? Do I need to change things around? It's a lot of questions. I see that and try to get to as many questions as possible during the week on the YouTube channel, and it just isn't possible, which is why we have the Friday Live Helpcast. And so that's what I like to call it, creative constipation, or it could be just around that sense of fog brain. It's the best audible description of just like what that feeling is, of you're stuck, but you're also not stuck because you're trying to do stuff and it's not working, but it's because you don't feel like it's possible to move forward. It's a weird kind of a sensation, but just from some of the language in talking with some of you guys offline or off some of the platforms, could be like in the DMs, stuff like that, or email. It's just that type of fog brain. So I kind of want to dive into that a little bit this week. And then, of course, whatever the questions in the chat, depending on how that steers, we'll go into that. But we definitely won't be doing, as some of y'all keep mentioning, another, we will not be doing another 5-hour energy live stream. It's not happening. What is up? Beating with Nicole B over on Ingram. Graham, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Got a few other folks over there as well. To look good to see you over there on Instagram. What is up? Alan Jones in the building saying evening, because you're definitely way across the pond. Saying can't stay long. I will catch up tomorrow with emojis and whatnot. And what it'd be nice to see what those are instead of like the coded text. It's like in like a buffering, stay home, stopwatch, blue hentai. I can't imagine that what that looks like. I have to look like on my phone or on the computer or something like that. So, but good to see you, Alan. Glad you're here for the times you can be. And for those of you watching live or on the replay, thanks for being here as well. Okay, so let's dive into this just a little bit. Again, not going to stay here too long, and then we'll dive into Q&A. So definitely go ahead and drop your Q's, and I will get into that. So you can start it with a Q colon. Chat's not busy right now because we just kicked off the stream. So go ahead and drop those in. We're live on Instagram, YouTube, as well as LinkedIn, which has been a very interesting platform. So again, if you're new here for the Friday Live Helpcast, this is mostly a Q&A session. So whatever your questions are about, what's interesting is like I'll see you guys that are new to the channel have questions. Sometimes I can't get to those yet during the week, or just the weekly content that comments on the channel will start to fill up. And so it takes me a while to get to those, but I think I'm getting pretty close. What is up, business growth ready? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. So creative constipation, as I like to call it. It could be where, again, you just don't feel confident or comfortable publishing or knowing which idea to lead with. This was something that, especially, it's interesting when you're looking at multi-personality group organizations. Nonprofits definitely fit into that boat, where, or if you have multiple creators potentially on a channel or things like that, it's like, well, you have all these brains feeding into the pool of ideas, and on paper, in a pool, in a bucket, all ideas look great. All ideas seem great in one bucket, but at the same time, how do you know which idea to lead with? First thing I would like to say is that if you're finding this like, I don't know which idea, usually you can find that answer in your audience, because they more or less will be funneling you towards one or two, potentially three different issues, but usually it's like one or two lanes that tend to make the most sense. And so you can look at the quality of the questions. If you just started your channel, then make this stuff. I love this, especially if you have like, could be B2C type business. So you have your business reaching out to customers, or vice versa. Your customers are reaching out to you. What do you get emails around the most? What are your FAQs talking about the most? Generally, those are some of the best places to start. And it's not until you hit publish that you will get rid of some of that angst, anxiety, frustration, that kind of a feeling. It comes from posting. That is what solves the problem, posting. I promise you, if you hit publish on those ideas, they now are not sitting in the what if piles. Well, what if nobody watches them? Well, what if people don't engage? What if somebody says something to me in the comments that I don't quite like? Well, what if you don't hit publish? Then guaranteed none of those things are going to happen. But you also guaranteed will get none of the things that you want as a result of publishing content, like growing your channel, like finding your ideal target audience and communicating with them more. The more content that you put out, the more that you have an opportunity to, number one, connect with your audience. So sometimes you kind of have to, not even kind of, it's a good state of mind to be in, to just keep your audience at the forefront, or who it is that you ideally want to be connecting with generally. I love to talk the camera tech side of stuff more specifically, because it's fun. But when it comes to, once you've got the basics for the most part drilled down and figured out, publish. Hit publish. This is like going to be the greatest sense of relief. Hit publish, because then you can move on. You can move on. But if you keep your audience at the forefront, it's just looking at how well is this serving them. And not always, fun fact, not always will it be a video that kicks off right away. I've had some that were initially sleepers, look like they more or less failed initially. Then it's like 7-8 months down the road, the video just launches, because whether it's an industry shift or whether it is a spike in questions around something, there's some kind of an interest. There's usually ebb and flows in all markets. So if you look at taxes, for example, there's different things that are happening, different events throughout the year that are happening. If you look at cameras, October, we're about to be upon Techtober. So that's an influx. Summertime, everybody wants to be outside because we've been indoors. If it's been cooler, depending on if you had spring in your area. So a lot of times that creative constipation, fog brainness comes from not hitting publish. If you hit publish, it will solve many problems that you have. I promise you. And the thing and the fear around hitting publish is around the I don't knows and the what ifs. What if you were actually better than you thought? What if you were actually better than you thought? What if people actually vibe with the content? What if that was the piece that they were looking for? What if it was a comment? Actually, I'm going to pull it up real quick because it's coming to mind at the moment that I got on the channel. And this was for one of the videos. It was something that was different for me to do recently on the channel. So as I talked about, like, I'm going to be doing different things, different pieces of content, different styles, or more or less. And so those last couple ones around which camera, well, not that one. So it's like you do have time to record. So that came from questions in the community. And then the other one's like how to stop procrastinating and overthinking, which would be a fantastic video to go and watch. And that came out a couple weeks ago. And one of the comments on one of those videos, I think it was like around the procrastination, was, pull this up in a smidge of a second. And if you guys have questions, post them in the chat. But the thing was, for me, it's like, those are good videos to have when people ask questions or whatever. It's just like a good point to thing. So it's like sometimes stuff comes up in email conversations and back and forth threads. Again, some videos solve so many problems in the admin sector of the business because we can just forward them the video. And sometimes if that's the video that you're making, be confident that it will serve that and that'll do a great job, because it feels good to just have those pieces so you don't have to have a long, exhaustive email thread. Camera settings videos, those exhaustive 30, 40, 50 minutes, 60, Lord, 60-minute videos, literally every second, every whatever, makes sense when you get so many people that don't have to go through that kind of stuff. Like I used to do it like in Instagram, because I just think, like, show me your camera setting real quick. Okay, fix that or whatever. And so you have so many issues that are just very basic commonalities. It's like, you know what? Here's a video. Here's literally every menu for everything that I change on the camera. Here it is. Here's the whole video. Nothing's left out. Nothing's overlooked or whatever. And those videos go on to do exceptionally well every single time. So let me find, if I can find this comment. So this was a lady that posted on the Stop Overthinking Your Content video, the procrastination and overthinking. She said, "This is actually the best video I've ever seen on this topic." Heart emoji. Now, for me, those videos are never like my go-to jams. It's never like the most fun thing in the world, but they're necessary pieces, because sometimes the biggest roadblock is you. 90% of the time, the biggest roadblock is you. It has nothing to do with the external factors. The biggest roadblock is you. It's you getting in your own way for the things that you say that you want to achieve, that you want to do, but you're getting in your own way. You're letting your fear prioritize itself over the goals. You're letting frustrations, thoughts, or whatever take precedence over your commitment. What if you didn't? And so, like, that was a random comment that was just like, you know what? I'm like, that was nice. It was like, yeah, okay. I like it because it's the same thing I would say in a comment, just putting out in a video. If you have issues with it, comes up in email, there's the video. But it was nice to see somebody have that kind of, it has that effect for them. I'm like, made me think differently about some of the pieces. I'm not, all the stuff on the channel is not going to become that, but it's just like, okay, like, it's good to see. Good to see. Let's see who got in chat. Again, if you guys have questions, drop your cues in the comment section. Instagram, I see you as well. And then Mr. Camera Junkie in the building saying hi, everyone. Good to see you, Mr. Camera Junkie. Glad that you are here. JFK Productions saying good morning on this blessed white chocolate day, everybody. Yurt, as the New Yorkers say. Ms. Yo-Yo's Closet Over 50 saying, hey, Diana, you are aging backwards. I'm loving this topic of getting unstuck as a creator. Well, first of all, thank you. Because I did just have a birthday. Birthdays don't bother me. Aging doesn't bother me. But that's very kind and heartwarming. You know why that makes me feel some kind of way? Because next month will be a year since I completely changed my diet and just like doing, I say like 90%, 95% clean eating, with the exception of last night. Women, for the 2.2% women that are on the channel that watch the stuff here, that time of the month, you know the reason why, that insatiable, just I cannot not be hungry. That if you're a woman, you understand that. So with the exception of yesterday, had some chicken that helped me get over my cravings, just insane amount of protein. But thank you so much, because next month will be a year where it's like 90 to 95% eating clean, changing stuff. And I don't know if Just Tornado is going to be watching this live or on the replay. I'm also starting pickleball this week, and I'm very excited about that. So, side note of a side note. Saying I'm loving this topic of getting unstuck as a creator. Thank you. I appreciate that, Miss Yo-Yo. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. But I think a lot of times, here's another one. Here's another one that I see, and I specifically don't let anybody else reply to comments, YouTube comments. DMs is different because at times those can just fluctuate up. But I would say a good amount of time, I'm in the inbox, like 100% most of the time. The other times, it's like it could be automated. You have an assistant, goes in, check that, fine. But otherwise, I'm doing the work. And the other thing about that is keeping your hand on the pulse of your people. I talk about this in my book, to be one of those people. Because I can talk about this in my book. But no, it's keeping your hand on the pulse of your people, which means you are a good doctor. You can say, your heart rate's a little elevated. You're having issues with this. Like, you're having this kind of an issue, versus if you've ever had that unfortunate experience of actually going to the doctor, waiting to, you come in with a problem, you're having an issue, a right now issue that is enough to where you stopped everything and say, hey, please come help me. Then they say, oh, well, without looking at any stats, no blood work, no anything, don't have any data on you. They're just saying, well, I don't know, like, but dress looks nice, and they leave. It's topical. So a lot of times as a content creator, and it doesn't matter what you're talking about, usually there's some kind of pressing point, interest, intrigue, insight, something that drew people to what you're doing. So let's take Miss Yo-Yo's Closet Over 50 channel. I'm going to assume this is about finding clothes, or it's about dressing, or it could be about, let's say if you are over 50, let's say 50, 60, 70, then what I see in that market is they're trying to find themselves again. They've been the mom, they've been grandma, they've been auntie, they've been great auntie, they've been everything to everybody else except for themselves, and maybe buying themselves some new clothes, enhancing their wardrobe is the thing that's bringing them back to life, back to themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, I still do look good. Like that, you know, I did catch a husband and kept him, or keeping him for 40, 50 years. You know what I'm saying? Like that, maybe I did, you know, like she's finding her worth and value again in this small area that seems small. It's like, but this, in this small area in the scope of her world, this is the thing that you're helping her with. That's that intersection between their thing, that there is an interest, commonality, pain point, or whatever, the intersection between that and your content. So it doesn't always have to be a how-to thing or whatever the concept is about. Again, I'm guessing based on the channel name. But if you recognize that intersection and you can say, well, maybe just finding out what stores she likes to go to. Maybe just find out, see, like you start to diagnose and be a good doctor. It's like, well, maybe it's like if I was her and I'm looking online, it's just like, dag, none of the ads are targeted towards me. Dag, none of the initial things when you click on the women's tab of whatever, you got to go maybe so many tabs deeper before you get to stuff that's more appealing. So I would say, here's the best stores, best 3 stores if you're shopping online, because maybe that's not their jam. It's like, here's the best 3 stores that you can check online that's 100% dedicated to the kind of stuff that women that's 50, 60, 70s like. Finding that intersection between a pain point maybe she hasn't verbalized yet, but she's still dealing with, and the intersection of your content helps. So when you publish that, you would thought, it's like, well, it's all kinds of stores, or well, it's all kind of people making content. Well, what if you said to hell with all of that? And what if you actually thought that it was great because not only is it within your wheelhouse and concept to talk about, but it's within the scope of what she cares about, keeping your hand on the pulse of your people. So that's what I mean when I say that, giving context to that. So JFK Productions got a question on the board saying, folks always ask camera questions, but do we ever talk about protecting our gear? Y'all plugged into UPS or APS or UPS, what? UPS or APC, plural. Y'all got insurance. So I'm guessing these are agencies or companies or what have you, or whatever the case is. So I'm trying to think of what the name is of those companies. But part of it, I'm like, what does the post office have to do with this? Or what is the, I'm like, what does shipping have to do with this? But here's the thing. When it comes to protecting gear, a couple ways to come across this. Not an attorney, not giving you advice in this aspect of this or whatever. It's for entertainment purposes, right? So when it comes to protecting your gear, should it be insured? It depends on the scope of the concepts of what you're doing. Number one, are you doing this because it is a business in the sense of like videography work? And I'm saying 100% like a lane of, I'm using this camera as a income generating source versus it being an accessory to my business. So let me break that in 2 parts and let's do the first part. You're a videographer, you're a photographer, or something like that. You'll see Professional Photographers of America or something like that, whatever the organization is called. Sometimes you'll see ads for those. That's okay. That's cool. There are different companies. That's something I haven't covered because my content is not coming from that aspect of you're doing videography work full time. So when I did videography and video editing as my full-time thing, like when I first quit my job and then a couple of years after that, yes, the gear is insured. And so for me, I did that a couple ways. Number one, if I'm going to a shoot, sometimes it depends on how educated and uneducated of a client that you are working with. And anytime you are entering a situation where you're dealing with an uneducated client, like a church hires you, and that church is a church planting church or a church planter, so they're a pastor that's reaching out to you. You're just starting to build a ministry. They're at like 75 or something like that, maybe 100. I think most churches in the U.S. are maybe at 250 people, most. That's like the average church size. Excuse me. So they don't have an educated board that's used to running stuff normally. So you know you're dealing with an uneducated client at that point, and they just know we need these video assets for the organization they want to hire you. So a couple ways. You see in whatever conversations, and you also will know if you're dealing with an educated or uneducated client when you get the draft for the contract. Sometimes they'll ask you to present it, but if they don't have any requests, they're not doing any kind of back and forth with you, and you know you're dealing with an uneducated person, it is now your job to educate them and have it on your side of the contract. And so what you include is you have your clauses around the protection, or at least of the who you got or whatever, and you insure that shoot, and you also have your regular stuff insured. So that could be through your like a little bit through your like house insurance and stuff like that, because it's included in the house. If you have a home-based business, then that's one aspect to come at it from both sides. So you insure the project, and then you carry insurance same way like you have with your regular business insurance and stuff like that. Do your own research to figure out who the latest and greatest whatever companies are, or whoever meets the standards of your needs. So there's two ways to have that covered, because if your house burned down, you have a home-based business where like this is my home office, and so if something happens, it's covered that way. But if something happens on the shoot, it's also covered that way. And you also have where, again, if you're dealing with an uneducated client, what if you dropped something and you cracked a tile at somebody's facility? They like, now insurance becomes a part, and they be like, well, let me see your stuff. Is the shoot insured, and for how much? That's up to you to figure out what that judgment is. And then at that point, beforehand, when you are in the negotiation phase or conversation phase, you'll know if you're dealing with an educated client, because they will ask for a certain amount to be covered and insured. We need $100,000 liability to make sure for this, because it's in our corporate office location. And then maybe you now need to figure out something different. So they said that's the one lane of it. And then the second lane of it is if it's for you and for your business, you need to have a conversation with whoever is your insurance professional or what have you. And for your stuff, again, if you have a home-based business, there's one lane where you can include it there. But then also for the lane of business, because this is no different than having your computer and stuff like that insured. So when it comes to insurance, it just depends on the lane of stuff that you're doing. I don't teach videography stuff. Like it's obvious crossovers in the content, but I don't teach videography and it's like, here's how to get those. Like, it's not the focus of what I do here. So that's why I don't cover it. But other creators probably have, if they're talking about like filmmaking stuff, how to be a filmmaker. I would probably say two people that's good if you are in that lane. Luke Forsyth, and then what's the other dude's name? Luke Forsyth, and then the other dude that does like his training around let me pull it up on YouTube real quick. I can't think of his name, but if it comes to me or if I find it real quick, then I'll share what the name is. But Luke Forsyth, he's a great dude to do it. And then I'm trying to think what the other guy's name is, but he teaches filmmaking or what have you. And then ask, if you follow a filmmaker's channel, see what they are doing, and then you can talk to somebody to figure out what works best and stuff like that. So that's why, you know what I'm saying, it comes to insurance stuff, but that is a heavier issue. You need to be more educated when you talk about stuff like that. Beating with Nicole over on YouTube now, saying, yeah, I'm going back to watch your camera settings video. Good. Well, that it's there. It is there. Let's see here. Question: how many tubs or tubs of ice cream did you eat? I don't eat ice cream. Lactose intolerant. So it wasn't that. It was just that I had to go and buy food. So I was not feeling 100% great yesterday. Just didn't get any sleep, and so my eating schedule was off. So I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna eat a little bit. That little bit did not work, and so because it was late, didn't feel like cooking, or I would have to thaw something out. And I'm like, I'm preparing. I have my meals and stuff prepped for tomorrow. I'm not gonna ruin that. So I just bought some chicken, and so I try to get the healthiest thing to buy, allegedly, and then I was still very, very hungry, and so I had to get more chicken. And so I was like, oh. And then I was like, well, just throw in a small fry real quick. You know, ain't gonna hurt nobody. But yeah, I was like, it's like the stupid oils, but I don't do the tubs of ice cream and all that. It's just chicken. I bought chicken. Saying a UPS uninterrupted power supply, APC, bigger power supply, protects against electrical failures. Provide. Okay, see, look, again, not my wheelhouse. Because I'm like, UPS. I'm like, you know who comes to mind? The shipping company. Freight and delivery comes to mind. And provides power for some time, I assume. And your answer is no. No, because again, that is not my lane of stuff. Again, you want to go into filmmaking, you have to find a filmmaker, not the space over here. So like there's some crossover, but not that much. If you're talking about power supply type stuff, Get you a good surge protector. Maybe you have a backup, something like that, generator or whatever. But again, most people are buying consumer cameras. They're doing consumer content, not doing, again, if it's very different, go into a warehouse, electrical's not together and stuff like that. Yeah, you absolutely have to have a different setup. Not my lane of focus, and I definitely don't cover that. That'd be 100% off topic over on here. So yeah. So I forget when Americans hear UPS, the first thought, they say 100% shipping and freight is what comes to mind. Shoot. April in the building, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying perfect description for that stuck feeling. Hoping to find a niche that inspires me. Political content gets views, but my heart isn't in it. Nature B-roll is fun to film, but gets no views. Well, I would say dial back and stop focusing on views. What are you actually interested in? And then two, when it comes to interest, all things feel equal inside. Nothing is equal once exported. And here's what I mean by that. On the inside of you, inside, everything that you are interested in feels equally interesting. And it can feel full all the way. So baking sweets and I'm not really into cakes, but like pies and desserts and stuff like that. Figuring out a new way to do a crust, figuring out a new way to do this, figuring out a new panning technique, like stuff like that. There's a level of interest there. Cameras and video, there's a level there. And content creation, there's a level there. Vlogging, there's an interest there. Traveling, there's an interest there. Hiking, camping, there's an interest there. Inside, all things feel equal. But they're not. Once you export that stuff and you start doing something with it, you actually start to do the stuff. And it could just be go for a hike. It could just be, so you're saying nature stuff. It could just be doing nature videography or nature photography. Once you actually start to do some of those things, then you will quickly realize what percentage stuff is that. It's like, you know what? The nature stuff, interest-wise, I got a full tank. Whereas something else, like say political stuff, it's like it's maybe a 10% interest. And it's like, oh, inside it felt like it was a really big thing and it's like massive stuff because there's so many things to talk about and blah, blah, blah. Then once you actually start doing it, it's like, yeah, that was about 2 months worth of content, you know? So here's the thing. Not everything has to be a YouTube channel. Just do an interest. And then two, like look at, the difference is, I think something that's concerning, and this is not just about you or the comment that's in question is being asked here. Not every interest needs to be monetized. Just have an interest. Just have a hobby. Just have something that you enjoy and not try to monetize it. Sometimes having a job or something that pays because it's a job, and I'm saying job in a general sense of whatever you're using to generate income. Sometimes having a job just for the money, because it's something you're willing to do for the money, whatever it is, it can be. And here's the thing, a job does not have to be a job you hate. It can just be a job in a different space that you're interested in. So what if, because this is an interesting space. So you said like political stuff. What if you worked at a news station, in a newsroom someplace or whatever? What if you worked at some place that, you know, they're into political journalism to some degree. There's an interest and there's a job. So you get to talk, banter back and forth about all the stuff that's all political, that's all whatever, but then you also get to go to your desk and just do work or whatever the case is and still be in the space or whatever, but not feel like the necessary need to do X. And then if the nature stuff is a hobby, let it be a hobby. Not everything has to be monetized. And it's like it's so much conversation around people getting burnt out. I understand that. And I've talked about this on the podcast. Like I said, for some people and for some conversations, it's a miscategorization of depression. You're not burnt out. You are depressed for sometimes something totally different. And you're using the content stuff as an excuse. It's just the first topical thing. It's the first layer of thing that you notice that you don't feel like doing anymore. If let's use this, we're not going to use a dock pop. We're just going to use the regular pop filter because it's like a cone, right? Layers into this, layers deep, going layers and layers deep. at the very, very top is content creation, because maybe that's the thing you're doing every single week, or you're trying to do it every single week. If you peel off that layer, what else is underneath there? Spousal issues, family issues. Read this really heart-wrenching article one time. It's like, why my daughter hates me. Ooh, the thread of mothers and having conversations there. It's like, why my daughter hates me. It was the name of it. And I was just like, good gosh, if that is not a knee-jerker for so many people. And you use content as an outlet for a time, and then all of a sudden, it's like you realize like that was just a cover-up or something to do, and now I don't feel like doing this something to do. So what else is underneath that? I'm not a therapist. I'm not trying to be nobody's doctor. Go actually get some help for those that need some help. But what else is there? Do you find value and worth in yourself outside of this stuff? And what purpose did it serve initially? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said not everything needs to be monetized. Some stuff needs to remain safe. It needs to be safe. It needs to be safe. So when I start playing pickleball, which I'm extremely excited about, I ain't trying to monetize no pickleball stuff. Like, first of all, I'm just trying to think like, man, my backhand is going to be hella weak because it was hella weak in tennis. So now the paddle's even smaller. So I'm just thinking, not that I'm verbalizing that for myself, but I'm just thinking like, okay, what exercises can I do? What practices can I do to improve my backhand or whatever? So I'm looking up those, and I'm not going to monetize pickleball. It ain't that deep. It's fun. It's fun because it's fun. That's all. And it ties into my commitment for my health. And this year, moving forward, it's just like, okay, I did a year of just fixing my health, food-wise, listening to my body, paying attention to what's working, what's not working, trying different things, and just adapting and learning. And so me losing weight, me figuring out my health, me figuring out what products and foods to eat, what things are causing inflammation, what things don't, what things fuel my body, what things don't. Ain't no monetization for that. And that for me, that's not the reason why I'm doing it. And now I'm loving finding new stuff and new brands and all kinds of things. And so now I'm like, okay, next year's gonna be about motion and activity, adding on to that. And I'm like, okay, pickleball is right up my freaking alley. Looks so much gosh darn fun. I can't wait to go play, right? I'm not monetizing that. If anything, you might see it in my vlog. The vlog's not monetized. Why? Because it's fun. It's safe from trying to be something that it doesn't need to be. Journaling, it's fun. I enjoy it. I've been doing it for years and years. It's fun. So sometimes figure out like, what's the job thing? What's the income thing? Yes, you can make money with your content, go full time, hashtag all the stuff. I get that, do it. But also, sometimes it's just good to have a job that pays for the thing that you don't hate. You can change industries to a job that you don't hate, that's in a space that you do like, that is filling and it is fun, but it also just pays, and it can just be a job at the end of the day, if that's what you want, or find a way to create income from something that you do love. But no, I think also too, as we get older, stop being afraid to experiment and try. Life beats people up enough that they get tired of experimenting and trying. Don't. Experiment and try. April saying, I understand that, or not April, excuse me, Beating with Nicole saying to April, I understand that my niche is beating, and I thought about switching because I didn't think people would watch. I love beating, glad I stayed right where I am. That's another great point. Another great point there. Fun fact, I switched, I think maybe, it felt like twice, but it was like one very messy niche when I first started making my YouTube channel. This one, I didn't make another channel. This channel started on a whole nother different aspect, had a whole nother different podcast, was doing exceptionally well, by the way, and dropped all of that. And it was just like, I don't want to do this no more. I love talking about cameras and stuff way more. I love talking about the creative process way more. And I switched, and the audience switched with me, and some of those didn't, and that's fine. And then we moved on, and life has been great ever since. So, like I said, you have a right to change your mind. You have a right to change your mind, but try, experiment, figure out some stuff. Let's see here. Feed with Nicole saying down, you so right. I always say do it because you love doing it. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing around rediscovering an interest, rediscovering a passion, figuring out what you like, what you don't like, things like that. Oh, my bad, tech for your needs. Skipped over that. Maybe I jumped ahead in the comments saying hello there. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. But yeah, it's, and I'm gonna go back through the comments because I definitely skipped. But the thing is, like, go figure out what you want to do. Go have some fun. Sometimes you have creative constipation because you're not creating. You just aren't creating. And then two, switch it up. Do something different. Experiment. Try. Go have fun. Go have fun. Go have fun. When's the last time you've been told that? Go have some fun. Go find something that brings you joy. 100%. Go find something that brings you joy. What if you just did that? Then maybe with the other stuff become more interesting to post and publish and talk about or whatever. Figure it out. It's fine if some things don't work. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that because you found an answer. So there's nothing lost with creating content. In that, like, for example, like April was saying, it's like, I don't know about this. Like, the best thing though there, April, is that you experimented. You've tried. And it's like, did this, did that. You will find your vein of content that you like, that you want to post, that you want to talk about. And then you'll be able to move forward. But once you do something, you try and you're like, yeah, this, like, no, that's not it for me. Then you try this one and like, yeah, that's not right. You found an answer. Congratulations. Because now you can check those things off and just move forward. So it's nothing lost in creating content. Let's see, accidentally skipped over tech for your needs. Okay, got that one. Boomer Grown, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying during Desert Storm, I had chicken and salad for dinner for 99 days in a row. MRE for the other 2 meals. Holy mackerel Louise. That's a lot. And could I eat chicken and salad for dinner? I mean, not that you have a choice at some point. So sometimes you're probably just glad to have food. And by the way, thank you for your service. But mercy, 100 days solid of just chicken and salad. I mean, at least use regular. I mean, shoot. Hey, sometimes you just be glad to have what you got. So I get it. AJ Trucker in the building. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. JFK Productions saying fun. What is this magical thing called fun? That sounds foreign to me. Exactly. Exactamundo. Go have some fun. Go have you some fun. All right. Questions. We are hit the end of the questions, end of the chat early today. Yeah, I got about 2.32 seconds to ask some questions. Don't have to be specifically on this. Like I said, usually if I have a topic or something, it's just I'm thinking most of the time it's like maybe the first 3 to 5 minutes of the stream gives time for dialogue, questions, things like that to pop up. And then we roll on with the questions. So if you guys have questions that you want answers to, feel free to drop those in the comment box below. Otherwise, this will be the shortest stream that I've done in a long time. But yeah, but as far as fun though, why not go have fun? Why not? Why not? Pick one thing. Still don't have to be major. Something like, I'm going to go hike such and such mountain. But what's one thing that you could do if you haven't had any fun in a long time? There's one thing, doesn't have to be super expensive either, that you could do this weekend that would be fun for you. Go do that. Want to go to the store? Go to the store. Want to go to a space? Go to the space. Want to go for a drive to a certain location? Go for the drive to a certain. Want to hang out with somebody? Go do the thing. Go have some freaking fun. Your creative process gets breaths of fresh life when you do different stuff. But locked in to the home office all the time, content could be a level of being chained to the desk too. Like, you can go outside now. You can go outside. Beaten with Nicole B saying, how do you create your thumbnails? Well, right now, actually, looking to hire a thumbnail person. So for a time, it's like I had a thumbnail person. They was waiting for them to graduate from college. They graduated from college, and so now they moved off into their job and profession or what have you. So it's like that was one thing. It's like so now it's like I had another recommendation or whatever. I don't know. It's like you, it's like you get somebody, and it's just like it's like so great to have somebody to do that. So now I'm having to hire again for a thumbnail person. Just looking for the right person to do the thumbnails. So in the meantime, it's me, and we have some formats and frameworks set aside, like certain poses or whatever. So I'll say like this, the final creation, because that is a higher out kind of a job. I personally hate making thumbnails. It's not my favorite thing. So that's a higher out thing. When I'm looking at the creation side of thumbnails, what that looks like is, number one, have a thumbnail segment. So like a good time to do that is when you need to record B-roll. Usually like before, because surprisingly, depending on what you need to all capture and create or whatever, it can be that last little bit of exhaustion, especially if you record all your A-roll for your videos first, then you record the B-rolls for your videos. Definitely don't do it the other way around. It is more energy taxing, even if your tank is 100% full energy wise. So do all your A-roll for your videos that you have. Like let's say you're batching three videos or whatever. Batch record those 3 videos. Do all the A-roll together. Even if you don't feel like your memory per se is the best, you will then know I mentioned this new thing that I didn't talk about, and I'm like, okay, I did this, didn't do that, recorded this or said that, and then you have your list of B-roll shots and stuff that you need to get. Then do the B-roll second. But before you do the B-roll, right after your A-roll's done, or you can do it before your A-roll, it just depends. I like to do it after A-roll. Then do your thumbnail shots. And so sometimes you can have where you pull it from a video frame depending on what the context is. I try not to do that, so I'll just take dedicated photos. And so you just set the timer on your clock, on the camera, and so you do a couple poses. And depending on what, I like to try to think months in advance of like what are the kind of poses that are needed. So you got your traditional point, you got the question, you got the I don't know about this one, you have and again, you can just look at your video topics and do thumbnail poses based on that. Sometimes you have a deeper ideation process around that. Fun fact is, if you have multiple lenses, then for some concepts, like if it's an item, like a phone or something like that, and you're showing like how stats increase for something. So let's say with a knitting, beading type video, let's say a brand is introducing a new pack. Let's say, for example, a new movie came out, or what is it, like the Game of Thrones spinoff came out, and there's a big whatever stuff around now. So they came out with a new beading pack and they got different colors. So a concept like that, I'm thinking we're talking about this product, that's something where I would switch lenses then at that point. So let's say I go to my wider angle lens, and so now you got the thing. So to pull off that concept, what I'll do is switch to a wider lens, put the object like super close, so this looks insanely huge, but I look small, and you're like, oh, like this big old thing, and so it looks super close because you are that kind of concept. So if it's those kinds of concepts, I do those after I do my basic shots of like, you got your point, you like, I don't know, you holding a thing, you got holding 2 things together, whatever. Do all the ones on one lens, swap if you have specific concepts you're filming for, because sometimes those take a little bit more out of you depending on how creative you're trying to get with it. And then you do that. So now I just have raw thumbnail folder in Dropbox. That's part of that creative photo process. I just put a bunch of those raw files there. So when we have the video ideas going, and the chain of flow is you can get the thumbnail done before the video is done. But the way the process works, at least over here, if the video is done before the thumbnail is, depending on what the content workflow is looking like, I'll send them the link, and so we have all that stuff available in Asana. But then that way they can see what the final video product looks like in our finals folder, and see like, okay, the video's topic talking about this. I think this kind of concept. So I give them 100% creative flexibility with doing stuff like that. I don't micromanage. Figure it out. That's your job. That's your responsibility. You get 100% autonomy in that. If something is, I feel like, off brand and somehow we've gotten off for whatever reason, then that's when I'll step in and say something otherwise. But it's like, for me, it's like I do so much training content or whatever when somebody's onboarding or whatever. This is the kind of style we do. This is the brand. This is who we're talking to. This is what they care about. This is what they don't like. This is what's important to them, whatever. So once they're done with that onboarding process, they can just jump in with both feet and get going. So the thumbnail concepts is not something I'm creating and coming up with. I just try to make the process efficient enough that they don't have to stop what they're doing to ask me for something else in the process of doing it. So thumbnails, not my jam. I said, quick, someone hit the 5-hour stream button. Hell no. And it's like, nope, not at all. You guys don't have questions. We don't have answers. We're going to wrap this thing up because I'm getting to the last one right here. AJ Brand can see, glad that you are here. So what lens do you use usually for your talking head video? So I think that's linked in the description as well. It should be for the most part in all the videos. But for this particular angle, so this is live streams, videos at the desk, and podcasts, the video podcast. This is using Sony ZV-E1 as well as my Sony 35mm f1.8 OSS lens. I've had this since I first switched to Sony, and it is by far my favorite lens ever. It is optically sharp. It's optically beautiful, small and lightweight, optical stabilization. That is what that OSS is, and it's just my favorite fantastic lens. I don't know. I wish I could figure out what the magic is that makes this lens so beautiful to me, and just only get lenses like that. Shoot. So yeah, that's what I use for these, and it's what I use for B-roll most of the time, because again, it's just my favorite freaking lens. I love this 35mm. Like I said, I wish I could figure out what it is. I don't know if it's the lens element. I don't know if it's a certain type of glass that, you know, they put in this one specifically, but it's only so many lenses that I've seen from Sony, is my experience so far, that I just freaking love. So I don't know what the magic is within it, but I freaking love this lens. I know it when I see it, but I just don't know how they're making it. Saying, oh wow, thanks. And I usually do my thumbnails once I'm finished with the piece of jewelry, so the finished product can be used in the pic. So if it's something where it's a before and after kind of a thing, or you need the after in order for that to make sense, then that's fine, because it is like you need to see the after. So cooking videos is another example of that. We wouldn't show the bowl of dough if we were showing yeast rolls. It's like, here's how to make the best buttery, flaky yeast rolls, and then or buttery, flaky biscuits, because I don't think you would want flaky for rolls. But yeah, you need the final thing. Then at that point, it's just knowing what part in the process, when is it best to take it at that point, and then just planning to do it then. So if it is like here's how to make, if it's like a for kids kind of thing, it's here's how to make a dinosaur bracelet, or dinoship, or a friendship dinosaur friendship bracelet. It's like, okay, then here's how you do this set, or you may show it with it being on the kid's arm or something like that. Then that makes sense. And at that point, you just know it's coming at the end of this process for this one. But if there are others where it doesn't need to be, then so be it. But sometimes it's like, if you can do it ahead of the thing, then that's good, because then that gives you time to think about, would I A and B test this or not? Or would I, like, am I pretty sold on just this one concept? Because sometimes it's like, we'll see a video is good, the watch time is good, the engagement is good, but the click-through rate is not good. And so then at that point, we know we have a thumbnail problem. And it's like, okay, we need a different one for this. We switch. So sometimes it's leading in with the A/B test, knowing it's like, let's go with this vein of thought and creative style for this one, and then let's do a second one that's a little bit different or whatever. So sometimes it's testing the language, sometimes it may just be testing potentially like a different concept to let the audience decide. So once we know like the watch time and the engagement and stuff like that is fine on the back end, that just means we're having an issue to actually get people to click. And so at that point you change the thumbnails, and sometimes it just doesn't matter. And what I mean by that is like either the concept is off, there's no interest in the thing, so changing the thumbnail won't matter. So that's like the approach with that. My thing is not to be the go-to person for doing this stuff. Like I said, I'm doing it in this limbo period, but that is not my jam. I hate doing thumbnails. It's in question, what is your ultimate vlogging setup using the Sony ZV-E1? Good question. What is up over to Kombucha over there on the Engram. So for me, my ultimate vlogging setup is going to be keeping it super lightweight. Audio, still going to be the Movo VXR 10 with the modifications that I made to it, so that you don't hear any clicking noises or whatever the case is. So I love that. If it's just getting off the plane or whatever the case is, and maybe I don't want the larger microphone on there or whatever the case is, just using the front-facing microphone that's built in and then covering it with the wind muff. It just depends on the situation. Battery, which is by far my favorite. It's going, actually I have it right here since I had to plug up the, what's his face? This is the small rig USB-C ones. I've talked about this before on the stream. So it's going to be these, because these charge via USB-C. So that is my jam. So I'm taking those. And then for lenses, recently it's been that Samyang 12mm f2, because it's wide. I've tried doing the vlogging with the 20mm. I've tried doing the vlogging with 16mm. I don't like it. It's still too close, because if I just want to hold it like this instead of having it extended, vlogging tripod just so happens to be here. So if I'm just holding it just like this, then I'm not trying to be all the way out here. Like, that's ridiculous just to be, you know what I'm saying? So that's not normal. This is just normal. So it's been that 12mm, and because like I said, for me, vlogging is a fun thing, then that's what I'm using for that. Like I said, I've tried 20mm, it's just not my jam. And then this tripod that I like to use for this is the Mantis Pod. I think it's the Pro, whatever it is. It's the all plastic one, specifically because it's so lightweight. So they have an all metal version. That's like a super hard plastics and metal combination, but I don't want the all metal one. I wanted the plastic one, so that one's my jam. All right, yep. And we've hit the end of the stream right on time. Peace, everyone, and remember to eat white chocolate. 100%. What a great way to end the stream. And we cutting it right at the top, almost the top of the hour, allegedly. But guys, thanks so much for being here for the Friday Live Helpcast. Hope you guys get some value out of what we chatted about today. And I will see y'all in the next one. Remember to go out there and have some freaking fun this weekend. Peace, y'all.